One of the transitions we're going to make in algebra is going from writing an equation, something like this, into an equation in function notation. So this equation right here, y equals 3x plus 7, this is a line and has a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 7. I'm going to write it in function notation. It seems like a small little change, right? But watch what happens. Okay. So instead of writing y there, I'm going to write f of x. The idea behind this is as we get to more complex problems, like if we were running a business, right? Maybe f of x is the number of let's say, c of x is the number of customers, p of x is the amount of profit given something. We could do L of x, which is like our shipping. Well, let's do S of x for our shipping costs then, huh? And it could be all sorts of different equations, right? And this function notation helps us denote which equation is being used for what, right? So it's just a little bit easier to keep track of. Well, when we have equations like this, y equals like 3x plus 7, we did a couple things like, well, what if x was 17, right? And we could plug in a 17 here and figure out what y was. Right? Well, same thing with function notation. So let's take the function f of x equals 3x squared plus 1, right? So there's two basic types of questions they're going to ask you with function notation, right? They could ask you a question like, I don't know, I'll do the question in a different color. What is f of 2? Okay. So you can see what they're saying here is, this doesn't mean like f times x, right? This is a function and we're using x. Now what they're saying is, inside the function put a 2. Like what would the function be if I put a 2 in there? So what they're asking me to do is do this, 3 times 2 squared plus 1. So they're just saying, hey, take that x, replace it with a 2. So what did I do? I took that x and I replaced it with a 2. And then I would just evaluate this, right? So 2 squared is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And that's 13, right? So what's f of 2? F of 2 is 13. Now this doesn't change if I do something like, okay, what's f of 0, right? Well, same thing, they're saying replace that x with a 0. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay? 0 squared plus 1. So that's 3 times 0. That's 0 plus 1, which is 1, huh? Okay. So that's one way they're going to ask us the question. The other way that they're going to ask us questions is, what if we had a function, let's do 4x minus 1, right? They're going to say, like, what is x if f of x equals 19? Something like that. So the key part here is this part. We're solving what is x, right? So we're going to end up solving for x. If f of x is 19, so f of x is 19. They're telling me to set the f of x equal to 19. Instead of an f of x, put a 19. So I go up to my equation. No more f of x. Instead, I'm going to put a 19. Okay? So when they're asking this, they're saying, what would I have to input to my function to get me out of 19? What x would I need to put here? Would I put like a 3? Would I put 13? Would I put 130? We don't know, right? So instead of going through all the different ones, I'm just going to set the output equal to 19 and solve. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. That'll be 20 equals 4x because that's gone. And this is 20. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 5. So those are the two major types. If they tell you f of x equals a number, well, then you're going to end up setting it equal to. If it's f of 3, you're going to just plug in the 3.